Phone Booth Productions.
Here's the thing.
Well, I get up around 7, get out of bed around 9. I don't worry about nothing, no, because worry's a waste of my time. Show usually starts around 7. We go on stage around 9. Get on the bus about 11. Sipping a drink and feeling fine. Hello.
Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the Here's the Thing podcast. This week was a fun episode. I sit down with Jonah Stormrider, aka the Philosopher King, and we do a deep dive into whether or not Paul McCartney was killed in a car crash in 1966. I hope everybody enjoys this episode as much as I did making it. And without further ado, enjoy. Dude, so speaking of Yokos, bro, have you heard about this Paul McCartney stuff?
It's crazy, right?
Dude, is he dead? Is he alive? Did he die in 1966 in a car crash? What's your thoughts?
69.
What's your thoughts? And go.
Okay, Vince. 1969, actually, which is a very interesting phenomena. So it happened
Hold on a second.
allegedly.
69, 66 is when it happened. 69
You
is
sure?
when they broke up. Yep. 66. November of 66 was the car crash. And then in 69 is when they officially broke up or whatever. They were working on the album and they stopped touring in 66.
Okay.
And then 2 months later is when the supposed car crash happened.
Interesting. Okay.
But before we get into all that stuff, let's fucking talk about how this all became possible. Actually, before we get into that, before we get down to business, dude, how's your fucking Christmas, dude? This is the first podcast of the new year. How was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? We haven't even broached this shit yet.
It's been great. It's been a real blessing, actually. So I think I've shared with you. You know that I've been estranged from my family for a long time and stuff, and so I had the distinct pleasure, the beautiful surprise of my folks coming down. Actually, they just left yesterday. They were in town for this last week, basically.
Right.
And so it was really cool because they kind of came down to kick off the new year with me. But I hadn't seen them in 8 years, bro.
It's a long time.
I only talked to my mom a week ago for the first time in 8 years. So
wow.
It was really healing, man. Lots of tears. I wasn't estranged for my own choice. It was just, religion does that to people sometimes when you lose perspective, which kind of comes funny. It probably sounds funny coming from arguably the most religious of everybody in the phone booth group.
but you know what though? I get it because I would argue that I'm probably the second most religious. I don't know, maybe Ted is, but I totally get that because I'm estraining myself from my family because of religion and stuff. It messes people's heads up and and not to say that religion's a bad thing. And then I'm talking to you about this,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it causes division sometimes between a lot of people. I think that's what causes most of the wars in the world, it's always over religion and land.
Well, it's interesting because I think even though religion was a lot of the time was often the excuse, I think religion is something that narcissists or psychopathic controlling people latch onto in order to exert control or manipulation on people. And I think that's more the issue, frankly. As I kind of process and understand more from our conversations, I had some really good conversations that were very 8 years overdue, really.
Yeah.
And really, it's one of my sisters was really the spearhead in the division in the family because of how she was. Anyways, no need to get into all the details, but it was just nice to kind of be able to reconnect with them, and it's a great way to start a new year with some healing in the family. And I'm very optimistic for the year moving forward. So I'm excited about 2026, baby.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I am too. I didn't have a great family interaction over the holidays, but that's okay because I just got back from vacation, had a great time, and I'm looking forward to what this year has to bring, man. Like it's going to be a fun year. I think for all of us, you're involved in this phone booth crew, so I look forward to this year.
If you look at just the thing that kind of blows my mind is just, I mean, you and I, because I think you and I came into the phone booth family at about the same time,
Yeah,
right? I think
exactly.
you were slightly before me, right?
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is in the 4 or 5, maybe 6 months that have passed since we kind of came, phone booth productions officially launched with you and I coming on board.
Right.
It's exploded, man. Like the number of podcasts we have tripled, the number of hours that we're online.
It's crazy.
With actually like really solid content that I would watch all the time.
You know what?
I mean,
I'll say this on the stream. Despite my lack of interest in the content, I think some of the things Vince is doing with the AI is all right. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's really getting up there in views too. Like, I mean,
it's interesting. I can't fucking bear to watch it, but it's interesting.
I don't have the stamina. I mean, the amount of time the guy puts into wrestling with this artificial intelligence,
it is pretty remarkable that he could do it. Like, it amazes me.
It's one part remarkable, one part concerning, perhaps.
Yeah, well, that's why we did the intervention. It was a joke to begin with, but it was also not,
half serious.
But yeah, so dude, I wanted to have you on. Go ahead.
No, actually, you go ahead, and then I have a surprise for you. I don't know if I showed you.
No, show me the surprise first, and then
did I show you? Because you remember on the live stream back in the day, not too long ago, actually, I made a song for
yes
for Ted.
For Ted. Yep.
Have I shown you the song I made for you yet?
No. Is this a Here's the Thing exclusive?
Yes.
Drop it like it's hot, dude.
And this captures the essence of Snoop and the Wu-Tang Clan so freaking well. I couldn't be more proud of how this came out. You're gonna absolutely freaking love this.
Okay.
All right.
Let's blow it up full screen.
I want to see your reaction.
Okay.
Here comes the Wu-Tang Clan. It's the PTCs. Here come the PTCs. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them. The free thinkers dress and chill, remember that, just in case we ever link up and make a pact. The title held by him, Snoop Von Poop, means what you think you know. He knows the scoop, so don't think twice. What was secret now drops. Khakis with the shades, blunt never stops. Talking riddles, dry with silence. Guard against the haters with hilarious defiance. But yo, we ain't on no scripted list. We straight vibing, connections, no fingerprints. Heard something wild, watch your feet, cause you never quite know where the Wu-Tang's at.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Clan.
Free thought defenders.
That riff.
Here come the Wu-Tang
love it.
Clan, Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget them, won't let you forget.
Now from the windy city streets of Chi-Town night, on the timeline, bright posts enter sight. Camera zoom on a legendary doom, but then like boom, dry jokes fill the room up with the quickness, link with the witnesses. Phone booth, prod, vivid stories turn to epics. Ain't no PTC.
Nah, please.
Do what we say, that's the way we kick it.
Ignore me.
I see Snoop get wicked on you with that dry humor. We your first, last, and only line of laughs against the worst boredom in the universe. So don't fear us. If you ever get near, don't sneer us.
We feel it.
PTCs freezing up all the slack.
What's that stand for? Wu-Tang Clan.
And the Wu-Tang Clan. just bounce it with me.
Just bounce with me.
Bounce with me.
Bounce it with me.
Come on, let me see you just slide with me.
Just slide with me.
Slide.
Just slide with me.
Slide. Come on, let me see you take a walk with me.
Just walk with me.
Walk
Take
with
a
me.
walk with me.
Come on, tune in Tuesday at 6 EST. Here's the thing.
Half American.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan. Free thought defenders. Oh, oh, oh. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget 'em. Oh, no.
Alright, check it. Let me tell you this in closing. Snoop might seem imposing, but trust me, if he ever drops in your section, believe me, it's for your own connection. Cause he knows celebs that you need not know, and he hits places that you need not go. So live your life, forget that lame crap. Show love to the dry wit, cause that's the Von end. That's the Von end.
Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan. Here come the defenders. Free defenders. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget 'em. Won't let you forget 'em. Yeah. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. Oh, here they come. Sports loving crew. Oh, 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 oh. Here come the Wu-Tang Clan. They won't let you forget 'em.
Dude, that's sick.
I love how smooth that, like, it did all on its own, where it like cut out all the background vocals and the riff and the bass, and just like to draw attention to tune in 6 p.m. EST. It was
Yeah.
so perfect. Here's the thing.
Dude, you gotta send me like an MP3 of that or something. Send me like a link to it. That's another Here's the Thing podcast exclusive right there, baby.
Boom. You had it here first.
That's right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, dude, AI is fucking fun, man. Like, it's scary though. Like we talked about it on some previous episodes, like, with a few of the musicians I've had on, like how scary it is because they're replacing the real musicians.
Yeah. It's interesting though, as Ted had pointed out at one point, like there's a distinct different feel though to AI music that I don't
Right.
think you'll
It's
ever
missing
get.
it's missing that
Like-
organic feeling.
Well, it's missing the soul too. Like you don't get chills when you hear a really good, like, yeah, your feet
Yeah.
might go and your head might bop, but like you won't get chills with like a real soul when you hear somebody really
That's true.
soul.
That's true. I just experienced it with that song right there because I was into it. Like, this is dope as fuck, But like, it doesn't give you that like body tingle,
But it was amazing.
which is also going to be the name of my first album, Body Tingle.
But like, what was cool because obviously is Men in Black inspired. That's what I used as the
Okay.
foundation. to
Why?
build
Why?
on.
Why that?
Just because like kind of what I did with like that I'm back, they call me Ted Logan, right? That it fits syllabically, and so I was like
syllabically.
trying
Is that
to
even
think
a
what would be
word?
good for the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm like, Men in Black Wu-Tang Clan. I'm like, dude, that would be sick. And so I used that. I took the lyrics from Men in Black and I said, look, Snoop's got a great dry sense of humor. He's super connected. He has got a podcast at such and such a time. And I gave it just like gave it like a high level overview of like your persona in the crew here. And it did a great job, frankly.
Yeah. Freaking awesome.
So you have it now.
Yeah.
So.
But so, I brought you here today so we could talk about a very important topic of Paul McCartney has died, 50 years ago, 60 years ago now.
Allegedly.
And, it's a crazy thought, but when you look at a lot of the things that are happening and have happened over the years, I don't think there's a question about whether or not things are being manipulated. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's definitely an ulterior motive or force that is driving things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the latest things is like the Charlie Kirk stuff, like obviously there's more to that story than what we're being told. You know, like it's not just like some dude that was, a Republican. What do you call him? He goes and does speeches. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
they just shot this guy because he goes out and talks and tries to get people to vote one way or another. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's more to the story, and especially like all the bullshit coming out with his wife, Erica.
Yeah.
But you've heard of the Tavistock Institute, yeah?
Right. Right.
So, like, this you know what? Let's just watch this video first, and then let's talk about it. This gives a brief description of what the Tavistock Institute is, and then we can talk about it a little bit more.
Let's get into the history. While the Tavistock Institute was not officially formed until 1947, based on what I found, their history can be traced back a little further. Established in 1921 by the Royal Institute for International Affairs, otherwise known as the Chatham House, and I did a whole video delving into their history if you're interested in that. Anyway, the Tavistock corporations and major universities in order to manipulate the populations of the world into accepting a one-world collectivist state. Essentially, they wind you up because they know what makes you tick. The Tavistock Clinic studied shell shock in World War I. However, they switched to developing psychological warfare in 1922. Basically, rather than helping traumatized soldiers, they calculated their breaking points so they could recreate it. It is said that the Tavistock shock doctrine now permeates global modern life. And it does appear as if they had ambitions to go global right from the start. The Tavistock Institute sent German-born psychologist Kurt Lewin to MIT in 1945 to establish the Research Center for Group Dynamics. In the US, Lewin is the founder of social psychology. Now, the center did move to the University of Michigan in 1948, where it became the Institute for Social Research, and continued to co-opt legitimate psychological research and exploit mass psychology. Under the guidance of Dr. Kurt Lewin, Tavistock established the OSS, which is the forerunner to the CIA. The Tavistock Institute was behind another major development in providing a detailed study program that led to the creation of the Office of Naval Intelligence. And by the way, is the premier intelligence service in the United States, one that dwarfs the CIA in size and scope. And today, the Tavistock Institute runs more than 30 research institutions in the US. So, promoting creativity and organizational policy, it remains an influential intelligence organization that is still tied to MI6, the CIA, and the Rockefeller Foundation, among others.
So, already this Tavistock Institute is full of not good stuff.
Well, it immediately made me think of when it mentioned like the transition from the OSS into CIA.
Yeah,
It made me think of monarch mind control and how that's
definitely.
no doubt connected to, or kind of maybe perhaps even flows from the Tavistock Institute's research.
Oh, well, I think that definitely, is a lot to do with it. I'm not sure MK Ultra. Like, I'm not sure what the documented year that it started, but I imagine it's before that. You know what I mean? And
I don't know, because I know it's a CIA program, Monarch, the Monarch Project.
yeah, but
I imagine
it goes
it's
back to
after.
the OSS, and like this video said, like the House of Chatham and stuff before that. Like those organizations before that.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but it's crazy how much this ties into like do you know who Edward Bernays is?
I do.
The
Yeah.
father of propaganda, and he's involved in this Tavistock Institute as well.
Hmm.
And then they have connections and roots with Aleister Crowley as well.
And if I'm not mistaken, Bernays is kind of chapter 2 and he builds on Freudian psychology, if I'm not mistaken, and like
Yes.
the operations of the subconscious, but he weaponizes it and uses it for manipulative ends rather than deeper understanding of the human person, like Freud originally intended.
Right. So it seems like this Tavistock Institute kind of took those guys' methods and then they evolved all this mind control stuff out of the OSS into the CIA into,
Hmm.
whatever it is today, you know?
So apparently, actually, this is interesting. My instinct was correct in the sense that it was the CIA that did. I just looked it up. The Monarch mind control program actually was initiated in the early 1950s.
Right.
So it would have flowed from the Tavistock Institute as well.
Right.
In
Tavistock formed in 47. And you know what else is a strange coinky dink? Aleister Crowley died in 47.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe there's nothing there. Maybe it's everything. But he kind of ties into a lot of the Beatles stuff, that we're going to get into here. Um, so what do you know about Aleister Crowley? Like, I know a little bit about him. Like, he wrote the what is it called? The Book of Magic. What is it called? Something about magic. And he talks about, like, reading backwards and doing things backwards and relaying messages backwards, and
Exactly. I mean, he's really the father of magical arts and the occult in a lot of sense in common understanding of it, because he wrote a lot about, and he was, I think, one of the first, if not the first. He was a member of almost every secret society on Earth.
yeah.
And he, as you probably remember, he called himself the Beast of Revelation and called himself 666. So like this is int- un- he's a bad dude, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Beatles loved this guy, and like all the musicians do. Like Ozzy had the song Mr. Crowley,
Hmm.
um but they all kind of tie back to this Tavistock Institute. Like every musician and every like entertainment, everything today pretty much ties back to this Tavistock Institute. And it's, maybe it's pre MK Ultra. Maybe that's the program they started before MK Ultra. It's a few years before it, but it's all around the same timeline. Like it's
and
wild, some of this stuff.
and it's not, it's, I don't think it's a coincidence either to connect. I think you do well to connect the whole Beatles phenomena of the alleged faked death of Paul, because when you to connect that to Tavistock, because since then, maybe not so much before, but definitely since then, and since Tavistock, you can see how the music industry in particular, has been used to mind control the masses in a and really powerfully.
Dude, this was the beginning of it. This and Elvis, even before the Beatles. Like it's when it all started. It's a shame because when you learn these things, you lose your love of some of the musicians that you fell in love with, to
I
begin
know.
with. It's like it's a shame. Being a musician myself, it's like it's hard to learn some of these, I wouldn't call them truths yet, but some of these thoughts that are out there that seem to make a lot of sense.
Well,
It's
and when you live in a world where some of your favorite actors, even so adjacent to the music industry, we have all these actors who we find out were like Kevin Spacey, were doing horrendous things
yeah,
at on Epstein Island, and like he was always one of my favorite actors. Him and Tom Hanks, like Kevin Spacey had this presence, this voice, this the tone and quality, and like The Usual Suspects is one of my favorite movies. The
great
twist at
movie.
the end of that just
Yeah.
knocks your socks off. And then you can't watch it anymore. And then like Tom Hanks, when you see all the human trafficking stuff connected to him and his Instagram and all that other stuff, like if it wasn't so believable,
right?
It would be laughable.
If it wasn't so believable.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Robert De Niro, man. That's another one that I used to love him in movies. I just can't anymore. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
But let's check out this clip right here. So this is Paul McCartney on David Letterman, and he's addressing the death hoax.
Toward the end of the 60s, is that when the rumors about you being dead surfaced? Do you remember that? Do you remember how that started? What were your feelings about that?
Yeah, no, what happened was we did a cover for a record called Abbey Road. The idea was to walk across the crossing, and I showed up that day with sandals, flip-flops, and so it was so hot, and I kicked them off and walked across barefooted. So this started some rumor that because he was barefooted, he's dead. But it was a little bit strange because people did start looking at me like, is it him or a very good double?
Well, that was the idea. That was the other part of it, that there was a guy who looked like you taking your place.
No, well, this is him.
The body language.
Or is it?
See, I'm glad you played that clip specifically, because I was actually just going to mention that, because in the Abbey Road photo, just think about that logically for a second if you're watching this, for those of you watching. When in your life have you ever taken sandals off because it was a hot day in order to walk on
I was
blacktop
thinking that same
pavement?
thing. I was thinking the same
It's the
thing.
exact
I'm like,
opposite. Right? Because if it's a hot day, the blacktop is going to be scorching, and they're walking across like a asphalt.
Yeah. Not that it gets terribly hot in the UK. I mean, they barely have the sun, but
I mean,
whatever.
I guess I don't remember in the picture. It'd be interesting to pull it up. I don't remember if
No, it
it
comes up here in some of these other clips that I have ready to go, but it's like they always have to tell you, right? Remember, that's the thing. They always have to show you. So it's like they're always showing us. That's just one example of it.
Yeah.
Agreed. Here, so let's watch this other video. This gets more into like the whole hoax of it. This is about Paul here. So let me pull it up.
Last year, we had a big thing about Paul McCartney being dead.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how much of it was planned and how much was planned by you.
It had nothing to do with me. There is a rumor that he is dead, actually, but the first I heard about it was in the press, or from I don't know how it happened. It's a mystery to Paul. It was a mystery to me. None of us knew what it was about or whatever. But of course they credited to me or Paul saying, that it was publicity seeking, and we did it.
Following the rumors spread in October 1969, special magazines were printed, and memorial records appeared on the radio.
At the end of Strawberry Fields, John says I buried Paul. Brother Paul, I'm crying. Are you really lying? Son of Paul, we hate to see you. Had a different view. Hey there, Paul, what's new? Did Judas talk to you, or did you put the whole world on?
So, the story goes that in November of '66, he got in a car accident and was decapitated, cut his head off, and then some radio station reported it, and here we are with this hoax that he's been replaced. Who knows? You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting, I mean, you hear about these rituals where people sacrifice a loved one or something like that to get super popular.
Right?
Um,
That's the token that they have to pay to be initiated.
hmm So, I mean, just like, we talk about the moon landing being fake, and a lot of times people feel like that means that they have to believe, if they admit the moon landing is fake, that they have to believe the earth is flat. But really,
Right.
that one doesn't necessarily follow from the other. I think it's similar here. You don't have to believe that it was a nefarious, planned, or ritualistic thing by the Beatles. I mean, I think that argument can be made as we're discussing, but I think there's enough strange things around it. And like his double was taller, apparently. Paul never really toured with them very much after that happened.
Never.
Yeah. And so, like, you can imagine, just from a human standpoint, they're like exploding. Their fame is exploding. And if they had actually lost one of their band members, it would have kind of train wrecked the whole thing. The Beatles would have been dead.
Well,
But
also it
by
fucks up the psyop too. It fucks up the psyop, like if they're using this band to promote an agenda or propaganda or whatever they're doing, this throws a kink in their plan, so they had to replace it. They had to
well, and
fill. They had to patch the hole.
which song was it again? The Beatles song that played when you backmask it, that is, play it in reverse. It says Paul is dead.
Revolution number 9 says Paul is dead if you play it backwards. I don't know if I have it in these clips because I was trying to avoid getting flagged on YouTube.
Fair.
But it does come up, in this whole story, Revolution number 9, Paul is dead. Like there's a lot of they call it back masking in the music business, when you play stuff backwards like that. So they say that he died in this car crash. They were already, so at that point when the car crash happened in November of '66, they had stopped touring. They were done touring. They were going to continue on as a band, but they were done touring. I don't know what their contracts were like. I didn't look into all of that stuff, but who knows what had to do with what. But it's just ironic that that's when they decided to stop touring, and then this happened. And then they supposedly, recorded some stuff afterwards, because they found a replacement, which is often referred to as foul, Faul, foul, instead of Paul. It's foul.
Interesting.
And so let me share this video real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Even though there were past attempts to spread the rumor, this time it really took off.
Before the hour at 1 o'clock, WABC chime time. The fact that there is something very strange about the Beatle Paul, the fact that the Beatle Paul may be dead.
If McCartney was killed 3 years ago in an auto accident and a double put in his place.
That a rumor had circulated through London that Beatle Paul McCartney had been killed in a car crash on the M1 motorway.
There arose a rumor that Paul was really not Paul, but an imposter.
The theory on Paul's death says he was out alone in his Aston Martin. He crashed and was decapitated. A Paul McCartney look-alike has been impersonating him ever since. The fans say they can prove it in the songs, in the jackets to the record albums, and in other places. Clues by the dozen are lurking.
3 of the Beatles wear a red rose, while McCartney wears a black rose. Paul is the only one standing with his back to the camera. Inside the cover, McCartney's look-alike is wearing an armband with the letters OPD, which in England means officially pronounced dead.
There's OPD. I've also heard that patch means Ontario police province or something like that. Like it could mean like a police department from Canada, which coming up, we'll get into um, the guy who they say replaced Paul McCartney, Foul. You know,
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And it wasn't there. Didn't they also have Aleister Crowley on the cover of one of their
Sergeant Pepper.
Sergeant Pepper, the cover?
Yeah, he was supposed to be on there twice. And the first picture that they wanted to use, he looked too much like Paul McCartney, so they took it out. They didn't use it. The only photo is the cover with Aleister Crowley, on the top row, and that thing looks like a funeral. Like the cover of Sergeant Pepper's looks like a funeral procession.
It does, yeah.
Like the way it's laid out. I thought we're gonna get like another clip I have here is gonna get into all of that. Like it breaks down all the like the clues in the photos and stuff. Let me show you this one real quick.
Paul McCartney and actress Jane Asher began dating in 1963. The pair got engaged in December 1967.
I was at the engagement party for Jane Asher and Paul McCartney. So here's the party, all right, and the rock and rollers are there, and yet the Paul McCartney looking a little bit different under the eyes. He looks a little gaunt, and I'm there and I'm looking and I'm saying, why aren't they together? He's over there with this girl with a camera. Oh, well, that's Linda Eastman. She was on the tour with him. That's his girlfriend. What do you mean girlfriend? He's supposed to be engaged to Jane. No, that's not the same McCartney. That's not the same guy. But this is not the same McCartney.
Not the same McCartney.
It's wild. It's wild too, kind of like right around that time is when shortly after Paul McCartney's passing and all the occult symbolism in the Beatles came to the forefront, and they became, like you were saying, they became less of a band that went on tour and more of like a
symbol
sensation and symbol, right? And obviously the red flag of including Aleister Crowley in their cover. But it's interesting that right after that, all of the moon landing and the next evolution of humanity, just kind of that whole narrative started flowing. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get into more of the moon landing, but let's watch this video that is some more clues and some more like tidbits that they left on the album covers and whatnot that kind of lead towards like this might be something. Let me add this to the screen here.
It looks like a funeral.
For the cover, we came up with a list of our heroes, the ones we really liked.
On the grave is a left-handed bass in flowers. The old Beatles stand somberly in grief, and like a resurrection, the new Beatles. A hand, like a halo, appears over Paul's head, and just behind the hand is the writer Stephen Crane, who wrote the tale The Open Boat, which is about 4 men who went out on a mission, but only 3 survived. There's a white car again on the dow's lap. And on the other side is a blood-stained glove from someone who appears dark and dead. On the inside cover, Paul is wearing a label on his left shoulder. It appears that it reads OPD, which in England means officially pronounced dead. On the back of the album, Paul is the only one standing with his back to the camera. George is pointing at a line from She's Leaving Home. According to the rumor, the day and time Paul was officially pronounced dead.
If you were to ask anyone who is the voice of the Beatles, the name would be Derek Taylor.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Derek Taylor.
Yeah, sure.
Why the preoccupation with exotic symbolisms of death?
These are not things that we are aware of.
What about the Paul spelled out on the Sgt. Pepper's album, the guitar in flowers?
That's apparently there's a left-handed guitar there.
Yes.
On the grave.
Yes, it is a grave.
Because we are clearly dense in that we cannot see the symbolism.
According to the credits, the bass drum was designed by Joe F. Grave. It's just impossible to find any trace of him. He simply does not exist. F. Grave may be a hybrid of epitaph and grave. The cryptic word games are the immediate extension of Lewis Carroll's famous poem, Jabberwocky, which shows that in word are very different meanings if one knows how to decode them.
The secret code of Jabberwocky.
Lonely becomes 111X. Hearts becomes he, die. One X, he die. Or stated differently, 11 Roman numeral 9, he die. According to the rumor, he died November 9. Who died? Follow the arrow. Paul died. Aleister Crowley, the man who called himself the Beast 666, writer, philosopher, founder of Thelema, cult leader, Freemason, and magician, wrote the book Magic, in which he describes how to communicate on a subliminal level by speaking backwards in order to gain power over others.
Let him learn to write backwards with either hand. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him constantly watch, if convenient, cinematograph films and listen to phonograph records, reversed.
2 photographs of Crowley were planned for the Sgt. Pepper cover. But since one of the photos of a younger Crowley resembled Paul, Crowley appeared on the cover only once. Or did he? Aleister Crowley died in 1947, 20 years before Paul sang
It was 20 years ago today.
Was Aleister Crowley the real Sgt. Pepper? The inside cardboard contained Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles, military stripes, and a fake mustache.
Sgt. Pepper's lonely, Sgt. Pepper's lonely, Sgt. Pepper's lonely heart. And runs up every toss, 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 and runs up every toss.
It was a fake mustache. We decided to add a secret little message to the end of the record. So we went to the studio and did a run-out groove. It laughed for 1 second, but it took the whole evening to get it right. Turn it around, the other way around, you know.
One thing's for sure, dude. These Beatles were weird.
Well, and actually, one of no, it's true. And one of the so I think a lot of people don't realize that in MK Ultra and similar mind control techniques, drugs are used very often. And it's used to bring the person into an altered state of consciousness where then their psyche is fractured, different images are sewn in or are layered into their minds. One of the very popular drugs used by the CIA in the mind control projects was LSD.
Sure.
And as you, I'm sure, are aware,
I don't like what you're inferring, but go on.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is actually code for LSD.
Yes, I've heard that
and
before.
The whole song is about an LSD trip. So it's interesting that it's all throughout all of their stuff. It's not, for those of you out there who are like, oh, come on.
No. Here, for those of you out there going, come on, here. No, here's more clues for those of you out there. I got you. You want more clues? Here you go.
If this were a funeral procession, John would be the Holy One, Ringo the Undertaker, Paul, barefoot and out of step, the Dead Man, and George, the Gravedigger. And there in the background is a white car, a Beetle.
Like more wizards.
On the back are 8 dots to the left of the Beatles. If you draw a line straight through all the dots, it reads 3 Beatles. Hidden in the girl's elbow is the profile of a young Paul McCartney.
So there you go. There's more clues.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's all very interesting.
So I think one of the most interesting aspects of this is that there's this Billy Shears character that was created out of all of this. Apparently Billy Shears is some dude from Ontario, Canada, that won a Paul McCartney lookalike contest. And they supposedly selected him to become the new Paul McCartney, and he is often referred to as Foul McCartney.
Interesting.
Yeah. So here's a little clip on Foul McCartney here.
The name of the imposter is rumored to be Bill, short of William. There's evidence that Paul McCartney called himself Billy Martin, but he referred to himself by lots of aliases. Apollo C. Vermouth, Bernard Webb, Clint Hammigan, Percy Thrillington, the Fireman, Ian Ickermo. Bill seems to return, though. Why were the Beatles originally considering naming the Abbey Road album Billy's Left Boot? Why did Paul invent the name Billy Shears on the Sgt. Pepper album? Why did Paul design a hidden message, Bill, on the DVD release, The Space Within Us? Why was Paul introduced as William in the control room scene of his autobiographical motion picture, Give My Regards to Broad Street?
You know, William. That's all right. Oh, great. Wonderful you come on. You know, William. That's all right. Oh, great. Wonderful you come on. You know, William. That's all right. Oh, great.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, is it fathomable that a company has so much invested into a person such as Paul McCartney, and if this said person had died, is it worth it for them to start this charade or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, so even you're saying, even just from a practical business standpoint, forget all connection to the esoteric and mind control, but let's just dial back for the sake of argument the assumptions and just say at the very base, just like you could say at the very baseline, you could say, all right, well, it's pretty reasonable to admit that the moon landing was fake for political reasons, not for astronomical reasons or whatever. So similarly, you're saying, is it so hard to believe that just for the sake of the money that the Beatles were bringing in, that they would fake his
Well, yeah,
that
I
they would
mean, you don't want to cut off that
replace
cash.
him?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want to cut off that cash cow,
yeah,
right? Like, I mean, it's kind of like the fraud running rampant in Minnesota right now. You don't want to cut off that cash cow, so they're fighting that shit.
right.
you know. But how? So you had mentioned something to me earlier. I think you maybe said it off stream. How does the moon landing connect to Paul McCartney?
Well, so I don't know. When I was looking into it, there's this strange connection between the numerology of the two dates, and then also you have like this death and rebirth, and also like the mind control elements of and the influence that Aleister Crowley had, and the connection to NASA, the connection with L. Ron Hubbard.
There's an interesting connection that Paul McCartney was referred to as the Sun King too. Just to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all really interesting, and also like the some suggested as well that like because you have this whole rebirth, and there's allegedly like an egg on his shoe. I haven't seen that. Is there something that looks like an egg on his shoe in Abbey Road on the cover?
He's not wearing shoes on Abbey Road.
Then it must be something else that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he's barefoot on the Abbey Road cover.
Maybe it's his shoe and another thing. Then that must
Yeah,
not be the Abbey
maybe.
Road cover. But anyway,
Yeah,
so like
dude,
there's
there's
this.
there's so many clues hidden in
Yeah.
all of the Beatles stuff. Like it's crazy. Like they turned this into a $1 billion business. Just like even I don't know. I just I have my skepticism of like how you get into the music industry and the business and how you become on this level. Like it's one thing to get to be very good, and I mean Ted is a great example. He's been there, he's made it, but not on this level. It's like the cog theory that they did in the Billboard magazines that talk about the different plateaus that you get to within the
Mhm.
industry. And these guys are on a like you take that Billboard example, these guys are on another fucking planet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, absolutely. And there's some other weird things like Sergeant Pepper is apparently a link to a hallucinogen that allegedly is used in the
Mm.
occult to open the third eye, and then the symbolism also of the
Do you
decapitation.
know what it's called?
I don't.
Well, okay. What about the decapitation? That's interesting.
Well, because that's the first thing that stands out if you're thinking critically about the whole thing. Like, how many car accidents have you heard of where specifically it's mentioned that the person was decapitated?
So he was in an Austin Martin. I don't know. It's a smaller car. The I mean, the only thing I could think is like going under a semi or something. But yeah, you don't hear that. Like it's not something that happens a lot.
So I guess some have because the death and rebirth of Osiris in that Egyptian myth that is like ushering in
Also, I want to
the
point out that he died on 11/9 and mirrored his 9/11. A
that's
lot of
really
people, a lot of
interesting.
people say Jesus was born September 11th. And
Yeah. Yep.
also, um, what the fuck else was I just gonna say that coincides with that is that's a weird date. My birthday's the day after. That's not what I mean, but um, the Jesus, like the Jesus compared to the Beatles. There was that whole comparison. We're bigger than Jesus. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's interesting though is like with because Osiris was actually cut into pieces. He was decapitated, and then his body was cut into 13 different pieces. And anyway, so it's and that like it's just the whole myth. It's really interesting how it's like there's all like this thin thread that connects it all and has all these little parallels, and it's not meant to be obvious and overt. I mean, just look at like the cover that we were just looking at, right?
yeah.
It's so I don't know. I mean,
It
I
doesn't
think
have to
it's
be obvious, but it has to be put out. It has to
right.
be out there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fucking wild.
it is.
So Paul McCartney was married to a chick named Heather Mills McCartney, for a very long time. They
Hmm.
used to have a house down in Tucson, not too far from me. And she put out, well, she didn't put this out, but she was on a talk show and did this interview. Listen to this shit.
People don't want to know what the truth is because they could never ever handle it. They would be too devastated. And that's why I've stayed quiet. And I have a box of evidence that is going to a certain person should anything happen to me. This evidence is against a certain party that behaved in a terrible way. Something so awful happened. Someone I'd loved for a long time, I found out had betrayed me immensely. And I don't mean infidelity or anything like that. Like beyond belief. People don't want to know what the truth is because they could never ever handle it. They would be too devastated.
Is it criminal? Is it something like that?
I can't say it.
I can't say.
I mean, she was married to him for a long time.
Well, and it's interesting that Freemasonry has a lot of death and rebirth, phoenix symbolism, and rituals. That's a lot of their whole thing. So it makes sense too that there's that connected, that he died and was reborn symbolically,
Symbolically, right? He wasn't reborn. He was just fucking cloned in a sense. Well, and that's what I was talking to somebody else today about this. Like, is it possible that, Paul and Fall, the fake Paul, are they
Mhm.
just two clones of the same bird?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel
Well,
about
it's
the
like,
whole clone thing.
hold on, before you answer that, let me just
Yeah.
give more examples. Like, you know how you see those old photos of like Jay-Z looks like this old dude in Harlem in the 30s. You've probably seen the photo.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're just clones of the same soul. Go on.
I know why I was
Echo.
confused. And, I know why I was confused for a second about the date of his death. I wasn't confused about the date of his death. I literally confused. Okay, that's one of my favorite words, by the way, is confused, because it literally means to fuse together two separate things as one. So I literally fused two different events together in my mind for a minute.
Right, but con means
So
fake, so it's,
his right there you go. His death was allegedly in 66.
Right.
But Abbey Road, the cover
Came out
of the
after it.
album,
Yep.
it came out in 69,
Uh-huh.
not long after the moon landing.
Okay.
And that was the connection. It was just a short while after the moon landing. That was why I had in my head a connection between the moon landing and the Beatles' Abbey Road and the death, because that was kind of the album that like presented it with that classic Abbey crossing.
Yeah. It's wild. how all those albums like show so many clues as to this happening, you know? Like, I mean, it's almost like the Q stuff in a way. It's like, you know, there's too many coincidences, you know, like too many
That's
dots
right.
that connect, you know, and you look at all this stuff. I mean, maybe it's just good marketing and good planning. I mean, you know, that's what propaganda is all about, you know.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but at the same time, like although that could be like explained away that way, you also have to ask, what are the odds that right out on the coattails of the Tavistock Institute and mind control that uses drugs and music and subliminal messaging and backmasking, and the guy who taught people how to backmask and the power of backwards speech, etc., which that's an interesting, he said walk backwards as well, which is an interesting Michael Jackson allusion.
Yeah. I was thinking that too.
So, you know, you just like, and then they've got Aleister Crowley on the cover. It's just, at how many points, like you said, with Q, at what point do the coincidences become no longer possible as coincidences, you know?
Yeah. It's like they have to show you. They throw it in our face, dude.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
So let me throw this last video up because this is a guy that was the Beatles' assistant. His name is Mal Evans. And this guy was supposedly like the last guy that hung out with Paul. Like he was connected to him. And this is interesting right here. This video is a little bit longer, only 4 minutes, but you know.
The two people closest to the Beatles were their personal assistants, Neil Espinal and Mal Evans. Neil died in 2008 after 40 years as head of Apple. Maybe he never wrote a book, but if he had, Neil said it wouldn't be known to the public before at least 4 years after his death, or the year 2012.
He was the roadie, but he really was the rock. Mal was their mountain.
Mal was a big guy who followed Paul everywhere. If anybody could tell the full story about what happened to Paul, it would be Mal. If Mal had written a book, we might learn why Paul and Mal left England in October 1966 and drove through Europe to Spain for a flight to Nairobi, Kenya. This 8mm film was made by Mal Evans on the trip. In Kenya, apparently the two traveled to the Kishi Highlands, perhaps to experience how the natives there live. After a few days, they went to a hospital where Paul apparently needed treatment. Ten days later, Mal took him on safari. And then on November 19th, they returned to London. Mal went straight to Paul's house on Cavendish Avenue and immediately fired Paul's loyal longtime butler, George Kelly, forcing him out of the house. George Kelly never saw Paul again.
Paul and Mal Evans come up with this idea of Sgt. Pepper.
I wrote Sgt. Pepper and fixing to get hold of Paul. It was at a point when he was living in his house in London. His housekeeper had left, and I lived with him for 4 months. And on top of the house, he had a small music room, you know. And we used to sit at the piano, and that's when we wrote Sgt. Pepper.
On January 5th, 1976, Mel was on the phone with his good friend from the Beatles days. Mel told him he had worked out some problems with Paul and that he would be receiving royalties for all the songs he'd written.
He sounded worried. He said, Paul and I have just worked out some problems, and he's going to give me credit for some of the things I wrote with him.
Mel Evans had almost finished his book, Living the Beatles Legend.
If anything happens to me, please make sure the book gets published.
4 hours later, Mel Evans was killed by a police patrol led by former Kennedy investigator Charles Higbee. The official police justification for killing Mel was that he was standing and waving an air rifle.
Please make sure the book gets published.
The manuscript, which lay inside a locked suitcase, disappeared. This suitcase is considered the holy grail of Beatles historians. The suitcase disappeared.
Will we ever know?
It's wild. Huh.
It's, so, I know you didn't know much about this going into it, but what do you think now? Like, what's your opinion?
I mean, I've always, I've heard, going back years, I've heard about, the cover of Abbey Road and the rumors of Paul McCartney dying. I've known about the occult references on their album covers and, the various songs backmasking these various hidden things. It's been, I mean, I've known about the occult in the music industry from the beginning for a very, very long time. So none of it surprises me, man, at all. I mean, it's kind of to have a death and rebirth ritual and, to kind
Seems
of,
it's very common in everything that happens.
yeah. And then, how many of these, how many of these stars that we see are actually, what is it? The 27 Club.
Well, what's funny is I was thinking about that earlier. Is like, we have all these celebrities that we think are maybe still alive, but it's not often that we have one that is presumed dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, not often that one is still alive that we think is dead.
Yeah, it's like the inversion of most
right
of
the mirror.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, and the timing, like you point out, I think it's very interesting with the timing of the Tavistock Institute, and again the connections to occult mind control.
Aleister Crowley fucking died the same year.
Crowley, CIA, all that stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and who is Aleister Crowley's daughter?
Oh, I've heard this. Actually,
Come
I
on,
should
man.
know this.
Come on, man.
I don't know.
Her name rhymes with Barbara Bush.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's right.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
They, them are the fucking person of Aleister Crowley, maybe.
Wow. Huh.
So.
That's wild, man.
And then you look at who directed the CIA in the 60s, I'm just saying. Like, shit gets wild.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's wild stuff, man. Yeah, no, that's a really good point about the CIA, with Bush Sr. there. That's crazy.
So these clips all came from the Winged Beetle documentary, which is available on YouTube. I'll put the link in the comments for this episode. But, I mean, it's really fascinating when you look at all this stuff. And then especially when you think about all the other stuff going on in the world, it's like, is this unfathomable that this, this is probably true. You know what I mean?
Well, and what's crazy too is, they have, for various motives, whether it's to keep truth silent, like we just in the last clip you showed, they'll have people gotten rid of. But if they still need them for various reasons, like maybe Paul was having second thoughts, maybe he was getting ready to pull out, maybe he started, as they went more esoteric and more dark, he was like, this is not why I started. I didn't get into this to mind control people. I got into this to play some jams for the people, man.
It's true.
because it's interesting. Like actually, like right around that same time, oddly enough, there was the replacement of there was another person who was disposed of, and the
Okay.
world was convinced was still alive. Um, there's the famous Fatima apparition where there's the miracle in the sun and everything, and like this whole, like it was talked about worldwide. Like these children had these 3 secrets in Portugal, right, about the future of the church and all the persecution and everything. Well, Sister Lucia, who knew, so she was the one who survived the longest. In the 60s, she was killed and replaced by the Vatican because she knew the true secret, which would expose the wickedness and corruption that we're seeing in the Vatican today. So she was killed and replaced. And then she went and said, oh, the 3rd secret's already been revealed fully and it's already been satisfied. We're all good to go. Like basically burying that. But if you read the 3rd secret and you know what's there, it's like, we're just getting started with that. It's talking
Right.
about stuff that has yet to be actually fully revealed of the corruption in the Vatican. So, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that the powers that be of this world dispose of an inconvenient person, you know?
Let's talk about corruption in the Vatican for a second. Like, I mean, what's going on there? Like, there's a ton of it.
Well, so it's kind of interesting actually, because I mean, you and I both hail from Chicago, and the new American Pope, the first ever American Pope, also
Right.
hails from Chicago. In fact, I was talking to my dad this weekend. My dad grew up 2 blocks. He's a year or 2 younger than this Pope, and he grew up 2 blocks from him. So literally right between their 2 houses, he said there was a little candy shop, like a general store that all the kids in the neighborhood would go to. And so he was just telling me, like, it's pretty much a guarantee that at some point he was in line right in front of or right behind the future Pope without realizing it. I mean, how wild is that? Like, that's close to my neighborhood growing up too.
I'm just happy that he's a Bears fan.
No Bears. No Bears.
So speaking of the Bears, what's going on with the pick is in, bruh? You guys are Saturday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, sir. Yep. So we've got the first official round after playoff weekend. The first official round of the playoffs after wild card weekend, I should say. We've got, you know, this weekend should be huge. I'm hoping the Bears will pull it off again. That was they've had 2 of the greatest comebacks in NFL history in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Against Green Bay, thank goodness.
It pretty much defines their season, you know. Come from behind, you know. It's been a wild season.
That's what we Chicago boys do, you know. We come from behind.
I had to watch the last game stranded in the snow. Luckily I have my phone. I could pull the game up on Prime. You know, we were stranded in the snow coming home from the Grand Canyon stuck. Like, we had to get towed out, but it was the best experience ever.
Dude, those snow in days when you're stranded. And when I moved down to Georgia from Chicago, I got stranded.
No, we were stranded in a car. Like, I didn't know if we were gonna get out of there.
Oh, so you weren't stuck like
not in a house, dude. We were stranded on the side of the fucking road in the snow, like wondering if we were gonna fucking freeze to death.
Oh wow! Do you have a full tank of gas at least? Hopefully,
yeah, and we could watch the Bears game, so we got through this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but it was a good old time, you know. I would do it fucking a million times over.
I love it, man.
But dude, thanks for fucking coming here today, man, and talking about this touchy subject here. You know,
always a blast, man. Yeah, always a blast.
Yeah, you're the best.
I still got to get you over to the Philosopher King. We'll get there. It's been
have I not even been on there yet?
Story.
I didn't even realize I haven't been on there yet.
Not yet. No, you're on my bucket list.
All right. Well, fucking, I'll have my people contact yours.
Yeah, have your people call
see if we can make it happen.
That's right.
All right, buddy. I love you, man. Thanks for being here today.
Love you too, boss. Cheers.
Later.